How we doing, folks? This is Mike. I'm joined by Mike, and you are listening to the Why Not Us podcast. Mike, how are you?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
What a smile. What a start. That was just a great, I'm good. That was great energy. Right away.
Yeah, I had a fantastic day. I'm almost done with dry January. Been working out, been eating clean, getting the body right, really taking care of myself. And
I feel like a piece of shit still. And we talked about this, right? Like when your football team's out of it, you become a better human being. When they're still in it, you're like really bottom of the totem pole human being.
I'm proud of you though. There's 4 teams left, and your team is one of them. And
Barely, barely. Santa almost took it away in the snow. That was so scary. I had a
yeah,
tough day, but it's good to hear you had a good day. Yeah, dude, that was. I told you on the pod, man. Like I wasn't really worried about that one, but the thing about snow games is it evens the playing field. There's a lot of question marks. Matthew Stafford fumbled the ball twice when he wouldn't have in any other situation, right? AJ Brown dropped a wide open touchdown, or not wide open, a great throw touchdown, you know? And Matthew Stafford is fucking terrifying. That guy is such a dog. We had a thread or a text thread yesterday, you and me, about who are the dogs in this league and like what's the definition of a dog. All I know is Matthew Stafford like could have easily won that game, and they had no business beating that Eagles team in Philadelphia. You can blame it on the snow. You can blame it on whatever. Then the prevent defense giving the ball back. Whatever, dude. That guy with the ball in his hands, especially in the fourth quarter, is some scary shit. And I'm scared about another guy that might do it this weekend. But the Eagles squeeze away a victory. You know, the one thing I'll say, and we can break down that game or any game on the past weekend, however you want, Mike. I felt like that was a win that the Eagles needed versus just like a regular blowout where it's like, backdoor touchdown at the end. Like that was a gritty, you got to just, hang in there the whole game and hope you're on the last side of it at the end of it. But yeah, it was scary to say the least, dude.
it seemed scary. It was an ugly football game. You've said all season the Eagles play ugly football, and when you combine that with the snow in a big game, it's going to get even uglier. I completely agree. Matthew Stafford is a dog, like 28 other quarterbacks in the NFL that you put with that Rams team, and they probably don't even win the division, let alone be there in the second round of the playoffs. And I think what I've been preaching all season is starting to seem like it could happen. And
Which
what I've been
is,
preaching all season is if you keep playing these close games, whether they've been close for 60 minutes or 2.5 minutes, when you play close games, sometimes you can get bit. And I
yeah.
think if Matthew Stafford had the ball at the end of that game like he did, but not in the snow,
Oh, stop.
game over.
I don't think that correlates at all, dude.
I
Because
think the snow evens the playing field.
no, Jalen Carter would get to him even quicker than he did on those two plays. The takeaway with Saquon Barkley, there's just not anything more you can say about Saquon Barkley and what he is. I mean, the thing about all the quarterback comparisons, we had a heated-ish texting convo about how you'd rank the next four, and we can do that in a sec. But when you evaluate the Eagles quarterback, you kind of have to evaluate Saquon Barkley as like being a part of like the quarterback. Like just having him makes you a million times better. It's like he as a running back is like what most teams expect from a quarterback as far as production, which is just insane.
I agree. And Saquon Barkley is incredible. And Saquon Barkley has, in a way, sort of bailed out Jalen Hurts this year because Jalen Hurts hasn't had to be the guy.
We don't
And
know
in the
though.
past, Jalen Hurts has had to be the guy. He's always had good running attacks, but he's never had great running backs.
Yep.
You've seen that with the way that DeAndre Swift performed after he left Philadelphia. That guy wasn't elite last year. He was running
No.
with an incredible offensive line,
No.
an incredible scheme, and the RPO of fucking going with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and it's always funny.
Right.
It's always funny too, Mike, because we'll fantasize about like, oh man, what if this running back was playing for like this O line? And like the Eagles actually made that a reality. They took the best running back in the league and put it behind the best O-line in the league. And obviously the results speak for themselves. So, but the other name, Jalen Carter, is just, I mean, Colin Cowherd has this cool thing. He's like, you need these 5 things to win a Super Bowl. It's like you need a quarterback, you need good O line, you need one star weapon, right? Like a third down target. Like who are you going to? It could be Saquon, Travis Kelce, right? And you need a star pass rusher. And even our Super Bowl year, man, we really didn't have that. 2017 we did. It was Fletcher Cox, it was Brandon Graham when those guys were at their peak. But now this Eagles team has it, dude, and it's Jalen Carter. The guy is just a game wrecker. What he did to end the game, 3rd and 2. I mean, it was the exact feeling I had for the Falcons game when they drove down the field and they shouldn't have had the ball again, and the Commanders game when Jaden Daniels trotted down the field after Devontae dropped that ball. They shouldn't have had the ball to win the game. 1, because of Jake Elliott's 2 missed extra points, and 2, because of their prevent defense the drive before to let Matthew Stafford go down the field in a minute. But Jalen Carter on 3rd and 2 on like the Eagles 15 just had one of the bigger sacks you'll ever see. And then he essentially did it again on that 4th down to make sure Matthew didn't have an extra second to get a completion. We haven't really talked about him a lot too on this pod, but he's arguably
establishing himself in the playoffs, especially where there's more eyes on him. You've been saying it all season that he is one of those elite, just offensive wrecking balls.
Yes.
That you just can't stop. The Chiefs have it in Chris Jones.
Yes.
Especially in the past. I think their defense is really good this year, but in the past, that defense wasn't elite. They just had Chris Jones who fucking made plays.
Which people don't realize is so big. Just having that one guy.
Right. The guys like Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, now Jalen Carter. Like, when you have a guy that can just blow up the play at the line of scrimmage, and it's different with this Eagles defense, which is a legit defense, but with teams like the Aaron Donald Rams defenses, like, if they can create you a few turnovers a game or a few big 3rd down stops, that's enough out of a defense when your offense can put up points. And
hell yeah.
Jalen Carter's one of those guys.
Yeah, no, the defense, I mean, I love how complementary this team is to each other. It's like when the offense isn't going, the defense is, and they'll eventually give it back to the offense, and they'll explode. And the thing I loved about Jalen Carter is like he's doing it in the biggest moments, which is, I think, your biggest ask out of your star defensive player is like you can do whatever you need to during the game, but when it is 3rd and 2 and the game's on the line, we expect you to be in the quarterback's face, and he did it. AJ didn't get the ball a lot. Devontae didn't get the ball a lot. Goddard had some big plays. But it's the same dialogue we had last week. If they're going to keep winning these games, the craziest stat I've seen is Jalen Hurts in his 4 playoff wins hasn't surpassed 200 yards. And every time he has passing yards in the playoffs, they have lost. But that Super Bowl where he threw for 300 plus, ran for like 60 plus, he played amazing. He was incredible, but they lost. And that was what we were talking about yesterday. It's just such this weird dynamic. It's like, how do we evaluate this Eagles team? I'm going to go on the side of they're winning games, and I'm cool with whatever that means for any other person on the team.
I think what it says is, sure, they're winning games, but when they're losing games, why are they losing? I'm sure there's many different reasons in each game individually, but when you combine them all together and you look at the fact that Jalen Hurts' stats are higher and better when they're losing and they're lower and he's doing less when they're winning, that means in the games where Jalen Hurts has to be the guy, and it can't be the defense, and it can't be Saquon, and you can't just throw it up to Devontae and AJ when they're contested. When he has to be the guy, he is not winning football games.
Yeah, but like, is that an indictment on him though? Because like, example A, the Super Bowl, like, what more could he have done? I think worst case scenario for this Eagles team to win, because I've said it all year, they can beat you in so many different ways, and I think the last on their list is a shootout throwing match with Jalen Hurts. We've seen he can do it, but we've seen that, that's probably the last choice they have as far as this is how we get a win. Fair?
Fair. Now, I don't want to transition too fast into upcoming to this week because we have some other games to hit. But what's the recipe for success for the Commanders? A shootout where they score on every drive. That's how they beat the Lions.
Right. And
they scored on every drive. The Lions didn't score on every drive.
Yep. And they did a lot of that against the Eagles when Kenny Pickett was in. They started scoring every drive. We couldn't stop them for like 4 series. And, to cancel out Jalen Carter, it's not having a good center and guard. It helps, but it's having an elite quarterback. That is the equalizer. And Matthew Stafford still had his moments. Jordan Love didn't. Right? A good star defensive line and player like Jalen Carter will kill mediocre quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was a fascinating game.
It was. The snow game is just amazing. So that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Just snow games in general. Kurt Warner came out and had a big take about when I was playing with the Cardinals, I didn't have just any way possible for me to prepare to go to the Northeast and play in 13-degree weather. Right? So he doesn't like the idea. He's a dome guy. He thinks it should be even in the playoffs. I kind of get where he's coming from, right? But that's not. We don't care, we're football fans. That was just a beautiful display of the game of football. Sure, you're allowed to make the argument that it's not a correct evaluator of who the better team is, and that's what you need in the playoffs. But we don't care.
I'm on the same page. I think it's a rabbit hole that we could go down for the rest of this episode. Mm-hmm. But I think if that's your problem with you're not giving a fair chance to everybody, what sports playoffs do? First of all, all season long that there's the possibility that if you don't get the 1 seed, you're going to have to play away playoff games. And those away playoff games could be in the snow or in the cold or in other conditions. And it's not guaranteed to be a dome. But second, thing about baseball. Baseball, you can win games all year long. But when it gets to the playoffs, all that really matters is having 3 solid starters, a solid bullpen, and a lineup that can hit. You can have the best 5-pitcher rotation in the league all year long, and you can make the playoffs. But if you don't have an elite 3 guys in the playoffs, you're gone. Hockey. If you don't have a goalie in hockey, it doesn't matter how many goals your team can score, you're not winning. Mm-hmm. Whichever goalie is hottest in the playoffs, those are the teams that go farthest. Football. If you're not built to win in the cold or the snow, you're not winning. March Madness. Does the number 1 team in the country really ever win when it gets to March in the 64-team bracket? No, because you have to win 6 straight games. And that's unfair because a lot of teams don't win 6 straight games throughout the whole regular season. That doesn't mean they're bad, but that's the way that it's set up.
There was one sport that wasn't set up that way. College football. It was, we're going to rank you the whole season. Everyone plays the same amount of games, and we're choosing 2 teams. And on paper, they usually got those 2 teams right. And then this year proved that going back, so maybe this is just a question that comes out of this debate, Mike. Is Ohio State the best team in football? Do they deserve a national championship? Because I would argue that they're the best talent, that they were the best team. But in years past, that would have been a Georgia-Oregon national championship, which in years past, you would have said those 2 teams deserved. But then come to this 12-team playoff, and you can argue if the structure really allows this theory to be a theory in general. But it was actually not those 2 teams that were the best. At least that's what Ohio State winning said, right? So I just want to point that out because that was how they were originally, and then now they're like a mini March Madness or the NFL playoffs, and you can,
I really like that. And ultimately my answer is yes, from start to finish, Ohio State was the best team in the country. The game that they lost to Oregon in Oregon, they should have won. The game that they lost to Michigan was an anomaly where they decided to not run the ball or throw it to Jeremiah Smith. So it was very weird. I think that the 12-team playoff has given a better opportunity for the best team in the country to win a national championship by allowing for that margin of error where if you lose a game or 2 games, depending on what conference you're in, you can still make the playoff. When it was 2 teams, or even when it was 4 teams, but specifically when it was 2 teams, you lost 1 game, you were out. That was it. you weren't winning a national championship. Whether that was a week one slip up to a big non-conference team or a tough away game in the SEC that you're going to get, like there was zero room for error. So it was the two teams that didn't fuck up at all. And a lot of the times those were the best two teams because the best teams don't lose, but
right.
The best teams can't be perfect. And that's why you don't see an undefeated season in any sport, even college football anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody goes undefeated. Even Oregon this year went undefeated, and then they got fucking smoked. Like,
and that's the I love it. We're going down a good rabbit hole here, and you really have to ask yourself. It's like, would you rather you judge the best teams on a full schedule, meaning right when training camp or your pre-college football is over, like you're being judged right away, or would you have it be the NFL playoffs? And regardless of what we think of all these teams the first 17 weeks, it doesn't mean shit, Minnesota Vikings this year, until you get to these 3-4 weeks of football, in which case, this is how we will judge you. This is where I like the latter, that NFL playoffs, because that's where we see guys like Joe Burrow, the dog, come out. That's where we separate the Sam Darnolds and his stats to the Joe Burrows and his stats, right? I'm on the side of the NFL playoffs in this situation. So college football made the right decision this year, I guess.
I agree, and I think they're going to continue to get better. I hope that college football honestly gives this format like another 2 years. Mm-hmm. Like, don't touch anything. Give me 3 years of it and let me see how it works. If you're consistently getting blowouts in the first and second round because you're letting in the shitty SMUs and Indianas of the country, then fine. Let's look to modify. Let's figure out how we can reseed or whatever. But after 1 year, you can't go and fix that now. Like, Indiana's not going to go and do that again next year. They're not going to be in the playoff again. SMU's not going to do what they did. The ACC is going to be better. Like, I need to see a few years of this college football playoff, and then let's talk about switching things around and changing and whatever. I do think changes need to happen at some point, but I think it's super unfair to do that after 1 year. And I'm ultimately really happy with the product that we got this year.
It was I think I said most weeks, I was like, this is my favorite year watching college football. It just, when you allow less room for error, it allows more teams to be in it, which means there's more care from fans and obviously the teams that are still playing, right? Like you're just getting more games that are more watchable. That's the biggest thing I noticed. It's like when I would go through a college football slate this year, I'd be like, I fucking love that. Like, great game. Yes. Give me most weeks you'd get like 5 good games at least. So
everyone was worried that it would like diminish like the big rivalry games, that it would diminish the championship games and all of that.
It did a little.
The championship game's weird one because it was almost better for some teams not to be in the championship game.
Totally.
Ultimately, those teams didn't really make it either, but
it will be a problem.
It will at some point where a team will lose their conference championship game and not get in.
It could very easily be the Florida Gators next year. Like if the Florida Gators have like 2 losses and they go and they squeeze into the SEC championship game and then lose to, I'm not going to even say a team because that would suck regardless. It could be them. So it's going to be a problem in the future. They got to figure out like reseeding because I'll never believe in the like, oh, the bye is actually a bad thing. Like if you're a good football team, to your point about being in a snow game, you'll figure out a bye week too, right?
Right.
Like just if you're good, don't come out rusty. I don't know. That might sound bad, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I don't think it's bad. I think you see that with teams that are well coached that jump back to the NFL.
Look at the Chiefs.
Every single time they get single time they get an extra week, and a lot of times they pull off this shit where they get 2 weeks because they rest their players in week 18. They come out firing.
Yeah, the Eagles aren't as good of a brand, but they kept Jalen Hurts under wraps for 4 weeks leading into the playoffs. And then, people still got mad at him that he wasn't throwing 300 yards. But they've won 2 football games now. He might be a little bit less healthy just because of last week's injury, which sucks. It seems like we always go into a game thinking like, oh, but he's not 100% healthy. Totally a fact about Jalen Hurts. Like, we are calling this guy unhealthy a lot going into the playoffs, especially. But he plays and he wins. And Carson Wentz didn't do that. He would sit the game out. So, do you have anything else from last weekend? I mean,
I'd love to hit the Bills and Ravens briefly because that game was also fucking awesome.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. What quarterback played better and what team played better?
In the Bills-Ravens game.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens as a team played better.
Definitely.
That's not a debate. I'm going to say Josh Allen played better as a quarterback.
He didn't turn the ball over. I was going to say the same thing there. Lamar's great. He had some turnovers, though. That pick was bad. I know Mark Andrews is, he's going to be the guy. The reason the game didn't go to overtime, or Josh Allen, I guess, gets another chance, is because of Mark Andrews. Yes. Ravens should have never been in that situation. They were the better football team. I told you last week if I were the Chiefs, I'd be more scared of the Ravens, even though the Bills beat them. Man, dude, he's what? That's 5 playoffs now. He hasn't made the Super Bowl, and Lamar Jackson's amazing. He might be MVP this year. They had Derrick Henry this year. I mean, it's just not great, No. It's the thing that as fans, I think that hurts the most to finally realize is how fast the NFL moves and like how fast it will like be a new era of quarterbacks. AKA, like, if you don't win your Super Bowls now, you might just be the guy that does it. I gotta
think. Most guys don't.
I gotta think that one of Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar, at least one of those guys is not going to have a Super Bowl ring when it's all said and done.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
At least one of them.
Yeah, we'll get to this one.
I think they have a better. This is a bigger question, but I think they have a better chance if they go to the NFC. Because at least you can get to a Super Bowl. In the AFC, nobody can beat the Chiefs.
We'll get to that. Let's get to that sooner rather than later. That's what the people want to hear.
Yeah. We don't have to hammer Mark Andrews, and we don't have to hammer Lamar.
No. Like, it's been done all week by other people. We're doing this on Thursday night. I will say CJ Stroud actually was going down for me this year, and then after that playoff game, he went up. Like he's a dog. I know they only put up like 12 points or whatever, but he made some crazy throws. He's a big 3rd and long guy. Man, when you have a 3rd and long guy, that's huge. That's huge. You'll take that regardless. So that's what I took away from that game. And yeah, Chiefs got calls and whatnot. We're not going to hit that either. No. We're just going to be scared if it happens.
Yeah.
Next week. Anything else from that game?
No, I think if we're going to hit on quarterbacks, I think CJ Stroud is another guy in that possible range of like, if he's a Texan for life, he totally will never have a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But he's a dog and he can play in this league.
I like that organization. I think they're doing a good job. I think they're not a dumb organization. They're definitely the smartest in Texas. We'll get to that. And then Lions Commanders was crazy. It was a crazy game. I mean, Jaden Daniels is incredible. He really is. He's probably the best quarterback in the NFC. He's in our division. He's a terrifying individual, Mike. And he's only a rookie. And we're seeing him in an NFC championship game that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, years go by quick. This is the Eagles' window. We're the best team in the NFC. But, like, if Jaden Daniels is already this good as a rookie and he somehow wins this game, you know how devastating that is for every other 15 teams in the NFC?
Mm-hmm.
That was my takeaway from that game. That guy is fucking terrifying. And it's time for us to really yell and cry about it because it's going to be around for so long, Mike.
He's not going anywhere. He's
Mm-mm.
only getting better. His head coach isn't going anywhere. It doesn't look like his offensive coordinator is going anywhere.
His owner's not going anywhere. He might leave the Sixers.
He's only going to get more pieces on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get another receiver, I know there's talks of Tyreek Hill possibly or someone else. But, like, he's doing it with, like, De'Ami Brown and Noah Brown. And, like, did you see that guy that, like, formally apologized? After he tweeted that the Commanders had the worst offseason possible by bringing in Dan. He said, like, this is the worst offseason by an NFL team possibly ever. And he noted, like, they brought in Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner. They chose Dan Quinn, who's already failed as a head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who's already failed. And then this was before the draft. And he tweeted, the only other mistake they can make is passing up on Drake May for one of those other quarterbacks after Caleb.
Dude, unreal. Every single one of those home run, even the ones like Eckler and Ertz, even Wagner. Huge. Dude, they've been so massive for that team. I mean, Eckler he's a big reason why they won that Lions game. Same with Zach Ertz. I mean, Zach Ertz, I texted this to probably 15 people. He's made a Hall of Fame career off this route. Yep. Like, it's the same every time, and nobody can seem to stop the Zach Ertz 3-yard slant. It's incredible.
It's always in the end zone, too.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles won a Super Bowl. That was the game-winning touchdown, was a Zach Ertz slant, and he did it like 4 times in that game. Man, what a game on Sunday. What an insane – this was what 2022 Eagles – Cowboys was supposed to be if they had beat that Niners team. Like, it was going to be this type of hype, and this Commanders team and Jaden Daniels is taking it away. I'm sorry, Mike.
It's okay. And like, I don't even know what to feel about the Cowboys. We can get into them briefly before we get into next week.
I want to say this one more thing about the Commanders, dude, because we texted about it. Like, the fact that they had all these brand new openings and they nailed the owner, they nailed the head coach, they nailed the offensive coordinator, and they nailed the quarterback. Those are the head coach, the quarterback, and the owner, and the GM, who I guess, give credit to him, obviously. Those are the 4 most integral parts of a franchise. They cleaned house, got all of them in one offseason, and looks like nailed every single part, not to mention the roster. Dude.
Some teams never nail all of those.
Never. Well, that's the thing. How many times has it really happened that it was a total clean house? Fans ask for a cleanage?
We'll let it slide.
Of house every offseason when their team sucks. I don't know if franchises actually do it. Well, the owner thing never happens. So maybe that's, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though?
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. It's scary, dude. Are you okay?
Yeah, just like.
You're just like this. You're sinking. Like, obviously, because.
No, now it's the off season. I'm off.
3rd in the NFC East, though? That sucks.
I'm waiting for us to make a head coaching decision, and then after that, I'll wait for us to make a draft pick that'll probably be super underwhelming, and it won't get me fired up because it'll be an offensive lineman. And
the report is that he's expected to sign today, but he hasn't signed today or tomorrow. And who I'm saying is, you wouldn't have guessed this in your wildest dreams, folks, because we did a draft last week on who we want to be the head coach choice for the Cowboys, and I said guys like, Jason Witten, or I think you said it, actually.
I did.
Pete Carroll, even Mike McCarthy running it back, because they're like old fucks who's like the typical Jerry Jones hire. Turns out I didn't broaden it up enough, because it seems like they're going to hire Brian Schottenheimer, who, when you say that name to me, I think like 2016 offensive coordinator. He's stayed around. He's bounced around as a QB coach. Hasn't really had a job for more than 3 years as like an OC. He's never been a head coach. He was Mike McCarthy's OC this year. Mike McCarthy called the plays for the Cowboys. And now he's going to be the head coach. And after maybe the worst year, I know there's been like technically worse record years, but as far as just like expectations and like your rivals, it's been one of the worst years as a Cowboys fan of this decade or century. I'm not a Cowboys fan. You are, and I promise I'm going to let you talk. I'm somehow still shocked that Jerry Jones would actually do this, Mike.
Doesn't really shock me knowing who Jerry Jones is. Am I fired up about it? No. Is it going to happen? It seems like it. The only little silver lining that I can see is I was that guy screaming, clear the house. Get rid of everybody. Get rid of the coach. Get rid of the coordinators. Get rid of the cleaning crew. Get rid of the guys who film on TV. Like, fucking everybody in that building. Let's make next Monday their first fucking day. And it seems like we're not going to do that. And the only reason that I'm somewhat okay with it is you can't get rid of your GM even if you want to because it's Jerry Jones. So I like bringing in a new GM with a new head coach. Well, Jerry Jones is your GM. So let's bring in a guy that likes and can work with Jerry Jones. Whether that's the right decision, might as well do it. And the team really rallied around Mike McCarthy and this coaching staff. And the second half of the season, they fought for them. They played well. They almost saved Mike McCarthy's job. Mm-hmm. Brian Schottenheimer, also part of that crew. And they also, I assume, like him. They were really beaten up when Mike McCarthy got fired. They were pissed. They did not want him to leave. So I'm happy we got rid of him, and I'm not happy that it looks like we're going to get Brian Schottenheimer. But at least it's a guy that the players can rally around. They don't feel like Jerry Jones just cleaned house and is throwing them this whole new team. The offense should look somewhat similar. Bring in a new defensive coordinator, hopefully, because Mike Zimmer just ain't it. Although it seems like we might keep him. Like, I'm sort of okay with it because I don't think our roster is that far off.
Really?
No. How worse is our roster compared to the Commanders roster on paper?
They have the third most cap space this offseason. So that's just putting that out there. I think
right now, their roster versus our roster. Quarterback, advantage them. Running back, advantage them, but we're going to get Scatabo or GT, so I'm not worried. Receivers, advantage Cowboys? Even?
I'd say it's even.
Cool. Tight end?
Both, yeah.
Advantage Cowboys or even?
Nah, it's probably Cowboys.
Right. O-line?
Probably
chalk up.
Even. Yeah. Okay.
Defensive line?
Probably. Yeah, it's pretty even. It's pretty even. They got
secondary?
It's probably the Commanders. The Cowboys secondary is bad this year.
Commander secondary is awful. They have a rookie and a French dude.
They love Sandstrill or whatever the fuck his name is. They're in love with him now. I mean, he had the biggest game of anyone against the Lions.
And the other guy's fucking garbage. Saint whatever.
Linebackers, Commanders this year, but Bobby Wagner's, I mean, I don't know if that guy will get old. How the hell is he still this good?
It's impressive that he's still doing what he's doing.
He's gonna get tired though, and I don't know. We can start the preview if you want. But dude, okay, I was gonna respond.
My point is, on paper, the rosters are similar, and we're seeing what the Commanders are doing with coaching. We're seeing what the Cowboys defense, which was a very similar roster last year, did with Dan Quinn. Now, obviously, Dan Quinn's not coming back, but I think that coaching has a lot to do with this, and you bring in another top O lineman and you make one or two signings on the defense. Like, if you can get that pass rush going, the secondary will figure itself out. You'll have a healthy Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland. It's not that far off. It just needs coaching. and someone to bring them together.
I don't think it need to. No way. I mean, you're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Why not?
Michael.
We just went through roster to roster the Commanders and the Cowboys. And the Commanders are one game away from being in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that's because of Jaden Daniels. He's that quarterback means more than anything, and he's been way better than Dak in the playoffs so far. He has the exact same amount of wins as Dak Prescott. And
the first thing I said was Jaden Daniels better than Dak Prescott. I'm not going to be that idiot that tries to say it.
No. But I'm just saying that takes you up 3 tiers. Dude, I don't know, man. I guess, yeah, you can get lucky, but why not clean it all up? I don't know. It's Jerry. He's going to disappoint those expectations, and even those weren't crazy.
I think he's refusing to tank and start over, and that's why That's why he won't clean house with a coach. That's why he re-signed Dak, because he didn't know what the other options were. That's why he's re-signing all these guys, which are actually great moves like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. But he will refuse to be at the bottom of the league. So maybe we get stuck in mediocrity forever. But hey, we've got a competitive football team.
You do have a competitive football team. They had some really bad moments this year and then looked kind of like the normal Cowboys for other moments, which wins you football games in the regular season. All right. Yeah, I'm good with whatever. I just, if the choices were Brian Schottenheim and Deion Sanders,
I'd like Deion Sanders.
I'll take the minus 800 bet that this doesn't mean anything. And if anything, it makes the Cowboys worse. And you'll take plus 430.
Time will tell.
All right. This weekend, Mike.
Big weekend.
It's you see the meme where it's I think it's Rick and Morty, and he looks terrified and he's looking at something, and then the next photo is a picture of someone, but then people will just put this Sunday Eagles or Bills Chiefs, Yeah. And it's a sports fan who's nervous. Yeah, that's how Commanders fans feel, honestly, because they're. Which one do you want to start with?
As someone who lives in DC, Commanders fans are fired the fuck up.
Of course they're fired up. They're going to the NFC Championship game. They're going to get to watch 60 minutes of their football team in the NFC Championship game.
Something I've never been able to do. Literally never.
Literally never. Unbelievable. I've technically been alive for 8. The Eagles have been to the most in the NFC this century, and the Cowboys have been to now the least.
Yeah, so let's start with the Chiefs-Bills, because I'm going to lose my mind if we keep talking about the Eagles.
Dude, no, we were talking about the Cowboys.
Chiefs or Bills right now, who do you got? Go.
Can I give a,
Go Chiefs or Bills, now.
It's the Chiefs, dude. Dude, I love the Buffalo Bills. I love you, Josh Allen. I love you guys so much. And I really do hope you win this football game. But what I thought about today was if I were to look back on this game 20 years from now and I see what happened and I see the years prior and I've been a gambler for 5 years now. So yeah, I bet those games. And I still this year bet the Buffalo Bills in the spot. Myself 20 years from now be like, dude, you are the worst gambler of all time. And yeah, I'll probably be broke by then. Mike, I have to take the Kansas City Chiefs here. I'm not going to be that guy. I also, and this, I'll give it to you. I weirdly think the Bills have a better chance against the Eagles in the Super Bowl if that were to be the matchup than the Eagles Chiefs. I feel like the Eagles would win the game against the Chiefs before they win the game against the Bills, just because of that fan base and what that Super Bowl would mean for them and shit. Anyways, Mike, you got.
I was on the same page all week, all season, since last postseason when we bet on the Chiefs every week and we looked sharp as shit. My question is, and this doesn't mean I'm taking the Bills, but my question is, when will the Chiefs lose? Because the three-peat would be history, and it's possible, and they're only 2 games away from it, and it seems like it really might happen. They're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. And they may make the AFC
No.
Championship game every year, but they're not going to win the AFC Championship game every year. They're not going to be in the Super Bowl every year. Tom Brady didn't do it. There were years where Ben Roethlisberger made it. There were years where Peyton Manning made it. Kurt Warner had his year. He was in the NFC.
And Andy Reid's like 8-8 in championship games because he lost so many with the Eagles.
There's going, whether it's this year or next year, it's hard to imagine that they four-peat. So it's either this year or next year, they're going to lose a playoff football game.
I agree.
And they're not going to win a Super Bowl. I will confidently say that they will not four-peat.
I agree. I totally agree. And that's what I can't stop thinking about. And that's why you take the Bills in this game, is if you think, yeah, it's been long enough and the tides are supposed to eventually turn. But as time goes on and as you keep making that decision, the dumber you will look. So I'm going to listen. They won us a lot of money last year, and there's one more game I could bet on the Chiefs, assuming the Eagles win on Sunday. So I'm taking the Chiefs, and I think you should do the same. But also, I wish I was betting on the Bills because I love the Bills.
I have to stick with the Chiefs.
You're doing the Chiefs. Wow. -2 in Arrowhead. The Bills won.
-2, and the Bills did beat them.
The Bills beat them. They look fluid. They didn't turn the ball over. They're making smart decisions. They probably have a better offense.
Bill.
I'm with you, dog. I don't want to take the Chiefs. I'm taking the Bills.
I don't care about being smart. I want to root for the Bills.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Bills.
Oh, we're such idiots.
My neighbors hate me.
Josh is possibly still working. He's probably pissed. Go Bills.
Go Bills, dude. Go Bills. I think they're better. Now that I was talking to it,
they're better.
I think they're better. Give me the better football team. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year, dude. I just don't. I know that could sound dumb, but I don't think this franchise deserves to three-peat because they should have really lost both the Super Bowls in the three-peat that are leading up to this. Both those games were so close. And the chance of you winning 3 close Super Bowls, which it will be close if the Kansas City Chiefs are in it, regardless if it's Eagles or Commanders. That's just how they play.
Correct.
Man, I don't know. Man.
Bills.
It's scary. Bills.
That was exciting.
Bills. Let's be on the right side of history. We're probably going to lose money, but
we're going to get screwed.
The other side to my theory about just wait until they're wrong is when they are wrong, you want to be on the other side.
I think we nailed it.
I think we nailed it. Is it going to happen?
No chance.
No, there's no way.
Literally no chance they win.
No chance.
But I refuse to bet on the Chiefs.
Maybe I
should bet on the Chiefs.
The Bills are a more magical team than the Ravens. I think the Ravens are better and we're matching up better against the Chiefs. But, Zay Flowers is also out. Who knows if he would have played. So the Bills are humming on offense and they can run the ball really efficiently just like the Ravens could.
And the Bills have been playing these close games. The Broncos game was pretty easy, but they looked damn good. And the Ravens game was tough. They pulled it out. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. They had other great games in the regular season. The Chiefs have played close games and they've won close games, but they've been self-inflicted close games against teams that they should be beating. They haven't played a close game against a really good team.
Yeah. I totally agree. And it just wouldn't make really much sense to me. And we've seen this and time again in the past. When you play these close games, it usually means you're bound to lose one of them. You can't rely on those. No. Even the Eagles in 2017 when Nick Foles blew out the Vikings in a game, right? You got to have just one really convincing, dominant, or a handful of them in the regular season, And the Chiefs just really haven't done that. They still look great. They're still an awesome football team. I think this year in the NFL has just been – it's been the year of, the smart decision, just gets first downs, runs out as much time as they want, doesn't turn the ball over. Like, that's meant more than anything. That really goes back to what we started with like Jalen Hurts passing too much and running too much. It's like running when you have the option to do it, like you give yourself a better chance of winning the football game.
Yeah.
That's why the Tyreek trade looks great for them now. That's
phenomenal.
I was even watching highlights this week of him in the 2018 AFC Championship game. It has been 7 years, which is crazy to think about.
Nuts.
But holy shit, dude, Mahomes looks so different now than he did then. Like, he was so quick in the pocket and was like making these crazy weird throws and just an insane arm talent. But now he's like, dad bod, I'm going to move slow. I still have a great arm, but not as good. Like, he's just not as like flexible, but it's so much more strategic. And like, that's what I love about the progression of the quarterback. That's what we saw out of guys like Brady. So different.
Yeah, and I think he had to develop himself because he didn't have prime Tyreek Hill, prime Travis Kelce, and other guys to throw the ball to. Like, now he's got an older Travis Kelce and a bunch of beat up old running backs, and the O-line isn't as good. You have Jawan Taylor, who starts early on every play. That's going to be a thing. Calling it right now. There's going to be a play where he starts super early and gets away with it. Anyways,
they've been calling it.
Yeah, they have been more.
Yeah.
Like, he has to fit the ball into different windows. He has to look at his second and third and fourth and fifth read sometimes. Like, I think he's probably running the ball more if you pulled stats from the beginning of his season, of his career. And like Brady, he just finds a way to win.
And he had that another crazy throw moment when he had that touchdown to Kelce.
Unbelievable.
He made so many of those 6 years ago and has been. He's still incredible, guys. But so is Josh Allen. God, I just hope Josh wins it. Like, you can't be 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs. Like, you are just as good. Like, you can't be known as the guy that just, like, crumbled against the guy that's, like, yeah, spectacular. But, like, really, you guys are the same, in my opinion.
So, we're, I think, in agreement that in the AFC, the top 4 quarterbacks are Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson,
in the NFL,
and Joe Burrow.
In the NFL. It's
fair.
Yeah.
How do compare Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen to who their counterparts were with Brady and the quarterbacks that he faced off against?
Didn't we do this on our first podcast?
We might have.
I think we did.
Josh Allen, the guy that keeps losing to Mahomes.
Yeah, it's Peyton Manning. It's Peyton Manning. And then
did do this.
Brady is Mahomes.
Right.
I think we said Burrow was like Drew Brees-ish.
Yeah.
And which I like. And then
Lamar like Phillip Rivers, I guess.
He's like, I'd say he's more so. He hasn't won the Super Bowls yet, but he's kind of like Big Ben and like just like a different quarterback. And then Burrow is like the pocket passer, just right decisions. Phillip Rivers is really Justin Herbert when you really think about it.
Literally.
Because he's like that fifth guy, but he hasn't won anything. And like when, like we talked about, you get to these 4 weeks where the NFL decides these 4 games mean the most, he's played the worst.
It's interesting. It's just like Mahomes just filled that gap that was Brady's, and it was like, cool, the AFC is going to be competitive now. Nope, just kidding. We've got a new dynasty. Like, get fucked.
Who's Jalen Hurts?
I don't know. He could probably be Donovan McNabb, right?
That's what my mind went to at first too, though. But no, he's better. Donovan was pretty great. I don't know.
Donovan McNabb was.
No, he was pretty great. Yeah, he definitely had a better arm. He could sling that motherfucker. No, I was going to say Cam Newton.
Fair.
I guess Donovan lost 1 Super Bowl. Jalen's lost 1 Super Bowl. Cam has lost 1 Super Bowl. And I think Donovan didn't really run like Jalen too, but Cam and Jalen run kind of the same way, physical. Like, they have a similar bag. Jaden Daniels, he's like Ben in his rookie year. Big Ben won a Super Bowl in his rookie year. But also Jaden Daniels did so much better than him that year. So much better.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude? Could they? It's my team, so it's tough to like answer this. But like, dude, could he go to a Super Bowl in his rookie year?
100%.
Oh, he's that good, isn't he?
I think there's so much value in +6 and +240 on the money line. It's absurd.
One of the bigger games of my life. Just means a lot.
So
I grew up in DC area. Like that was home. That like if I had gone by my hometown team as a kid, it would have been the Redskins.
So yesterday you texted me that you started the day at an 11 out of 10 confidence. Throughout the day, I did my best to make you feel as afraid as possible. Successfully got you down to a 10 out of 10 confidence. It is now Thursday night, and your confidence level is what?
Do you want to guess?
I think you're still sitting at like a solid 8.
It's a 9.
So based on the projections, Friday will drop to an 8. Saturday will drop to a 7. Suddenly on Sunday, we're at a 6 out of 10.
Or maybe 5. Maybe 5. I mean,
we can have a little Sunday morning panic.
I was the same way for the Rams game, dude. Rams game, I was so confident when we did the podcast. And then when I realized it was Sunday and we were playing Matthew Stafford in a playoff game, I was like, oh, God. And it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to think about Jaden Daniels when I wake up. And I'm going to just hug a pillow and hope everything's going to be okay. I'll also be with my friends who have no rooting interest in this game and are just going to root against me.
Of course. As good friends do.
Sure, I guess. Can I give you my prediction?
Yeah, give me like how this game goes.
Okay. Well, I'm basing a lot of this off, one, this year I want to relate it to 2017 because forget the wild card, they didn't play in it that year. The divisional was a really close game against the Falcons at home, which kind of that Rams game was. Like it was sneaky close. Maybe they should have won. Maybe they shouldn't have. And then NFC Championship, like they just tore the roof off Philly that night. In Chris Long's words, anyone could get it that night. I hope it's the same thing, dude. I hope this is too much for the Washington Commanders, and I really do think it will be. Because when I look at the two games this year, the first game, they had just a weird stranglehold on us for 3 quarters. It felt like they had just like a lot of juice and like really wanted to beat this team, and like everything was coming together for them. And then the Eagles just blew away in the fourth quarter of that game. Come to week 15. They blow away in the first quarter of that game. Continuation of last game, and then Jalen Hurts gets hurt. And the Washington Commanders have 3 quarters to get back, right? So they've really beat us like 6 quarters of football out of the 8 this year. And you really know deep down who the better team is. Like even everyone this week is saying, yeah, Eagles are better. But like they got Jaden Daniels. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels. As good as he's been, and I have no argument as far as like this is what's going to happen on the football field for why this would be the case. But like it would make a lot of sense if he had these 2 electric games and then doesn't make the Super Bowl, but like NFC Championship, give a hand to him. And, you know, he still had great moments, but never could score 30 points in a game like this. I think this game is a blowout for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they win this game in the range of 20 points. I think it's a weird first quarter, and it's a close game at first, and Jaden Daniels, oh my God, maybe they're even up 7-0, Mike. And it's like, Jim, it looks just like last week, Jim. This rookie's going to go to the Super Bowl. And then
that was good.
Saquon just breaks one, as he always does when they need it. Jalen Carter is just not having it with the run game all day. And Jaden Daniels, as good as he is making throws, he throws 2 or 3 picks. Maybe they strip Ryan Robinson like they do every game. Quinyon's playing, dude. Jalen's playing. Saquon's played so good against this Commanders team, so you just got to assume he's going to do it again like he did against the Rams. That's what I got, Mike. I think it makes a lot of sense for an Eagles blowout.
I think that's the most delusional thing I've heard you say on here, and I don't think you believe a single word that you just spoke. I think you wasted 2.5 minutes of my life forcing me to listen to that actual bullshit, and there's tears coming down your face now because of how nervous you are. You're not going to sleep for the next 3 days because you know that Jaden Daniels is coming.
Oh my God.
He is the equalizer. He is the advantage. He is the one extremely talented generational player on the field. When he steps on the field, he will be the best player on the field, and he will dominate. There is no reason, based on what we've seen at all, to suggest that he will throw the ball to the other team. There is no reason to suggest that anyone can stop him from not scoring on every single drive. I'm not saying that he will, and I'm not saying that the Commanders are going to win, but that is certainly not what is going to happen in the game.
I think the thing I hate about him the most is I always thought Jalen Hurts' differentiator was just like who he is as a person, leadership, teammate, demeanor, how he does press conferences. I just love it all. And like I look at Jaden Daniels and I see like the same demeanor. Like he's just like quiet and in his own world on the sidelines. Like he's not playing in a divisional game against the 1 seed in the NFC East and the loudest stadium you could think of. Like he's just there. And
he had their fans exiting the stadium with 10 minutes to go.
And he didn't start celebrating that entire game until there was zeros on the clock. And
I think you're in big trouble, man.
Because it's like this is a superhero story. Like this is the origin of a superhero. You could be caught in the midst of that. That's how they lose this game, man. It's him. There's no other way the Commanders win this game. I saw a tweet today and it was like, Eagles better team 1 through 53. Commanders better at 1. I totally agree. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy, and that's my guy. I'm riding with him. Dude, he's by no means better than Jaden Daniels. Like even the best game of his career, Super Bowl 57. Like Jaden Daniels could still have played like better in my mind, you know, like whatever. Like he obviously has a higher ceiling. That's the easiest way to say it.
He's unbelievable. I think you said it best. Sometimes the story takes precedent over the team on paper, and right now you guys are walking into Philly and a wrecking ball is coming through. And sometimes it's just impossible to stop that. You meet a team at the wrong time and you're dead. You had a great season, phenomenal season, a dominant season.
Dude, awesome. I hate the fucking Commanders. I hate them. Their fans are like the fact that they were so quiet for so long because of just how embarrassing they were. Like, not only did we forget they still suck, but, like, they came out even more so. So now it's just awful. It's been a bloodbath on Twitter between Eagles and Commanders fans. It's toxic. It's a lot. And, dude, it has not been a good gambling year. I'll just say it. I know I had an incredible lock of the week run. People are well aware that's not what my FanDuel balance rides on. If the Eagles win the NFC, it's a manageable year, and if they win the Super Bowl, it's a good year. So a lot's riding in that category as well.
Yeah, I had a mediocre 2024. 2025, I'm gonna knock on wood. I've been fucking soaring.
You and Jared were sweating some fucking La Liga A bullshit at 12 p.m. on a fucking Thursday while I'm in my 12 Zoom meetings. You guys are having a bloodbath in there. Can you explain what the fuck was going on today?
I had no work today, and our good buddy Jared is in school, so he must have had some extra time. The UEFA Europa League was taking place. For those of you not familiar, it's basically like another version of the UEFA Champions League, which is the best teams in Europe that all compete, except it's like the the second best group of people that don't make the Champions League, they play in the Europa League. So you get like super random teams that you've never heard of from like Sweden and like Latvia and shit. And we parlayed 4 different games to go over 1.5 goals total, which as a person who's not very much into soccer,
Sure,
you would
it's a
think
fun
like
bet.
that should be fucking easy. And it was not easy because actually the number one lock that we had was this team called Ajax playing some RFS. I don't even know what RFS stands for, but they're the worst team in the tournament. And RFS actually won 1-0. I don't give a fuck who wins, just score 2 damn goals. And they didn't. So that was the sweat that we had on a Thursday afternoon. I didn't hit that one. I have been flying on college basketball. You talked about futures with the Eagles. I officially today placed my futures on the Florida Gators to win the SEC tournament, to make the Final Four, and for the number 5 team in the nation that just won again yesterday to still be plus 2,000 to win the national championship is just ludicrous to not
ludicrous.
Take that.
They have the tools. They could totally do it as long as their guys stay healthy because they're pretty thin. Okay, so that brings up a good point. I guess we have news to announce to our 3 listeners. We're going on a work trip. We're doing what we love most. I've teased at it, but the arguably best 4 gambling sports days of the year, the first weekend of March Madness, will be none other than Las Vegas.
Woo!
Woo! Ric Flair stunt. Yeah, dude, I can't wait. I took the PTO for these days in like August of 2024 because the past 2 years I've worked on these 2 days and it is the worst thing you could ever ask for.
Yep.
I don't know, maybe you have a good job where you're able to just dial into them, but dude, when tip-off starts, you want to say, this is my weekend. It's either your couch or, in our case, a fucking poolside casino with the biggest TV screen and next to a pool in the country or whatever the fuck. Dude.
4 days of eating, drinking, watching sports, gambling, and having a grand old time.
This is your first time in Vegas, right?
First time in Vegas.
Wow. Vegas virginity.
Going to the Sphere.
You're probably going to go to the Sphere, yeah. I'll actually be there a month before this for a work trip, so I have too much Vegas. I'm not going to want to go back for 2 years. No. Especially because 4 days, dude, because we'll get there like Thursday morning, fly out Sunday, because you have to get these 2 weekends. Yeah. But, dude, it's a lot. You're donezo by it. You're probably sick of Vegas on Sunday unless we go crazy. We'll be good. We'll be smart. My trick is playing a lot of poker because poker, you can conserve your money and you can drink a lot, the free drinks. Just tidbit there. I love poker. Dude, yeah, it'll be great. We'll have some live content for sure. Our NBA correspondent, Sean Andros, among others, Remy, who we tried getting on, some of my friends. Yeah, it'll be great, dude.
It's going to be awesome. I'm pumped. I'm glad we made it happen.
Totally.
And
totally. I like that. Like, I had the idea of doing it, and then, like, yeah, we had some people that were down, Sean, and then, like, they kind of just took over planning. They were like, yeah, well, here's the hotel we'll get. Like, these are the dates. I'm like, oh, great. I'll just
and it was nice to, like, it's good to know that there are those friends that you have where you can
dude, yes.
Like the yes people. And we're both very similar in that aspect where you're like Vegas and I'm like done. Or maybe I said Vegas and you were like done. I don't even remember how it happened. And I've texted a lot of our friends who, to be fair, some of them are in school. We're still early in our careers. We're not swimming in cash. So like a trip to Vegas is intimidating. But then you had the other guys who were like, yes. Like I texted Ethan Coakley and his response was when.
Yeah. Like, of course.
That's awesome.
Of course. So, yeah, no. Well, and that's the thing. Like when you're an adult, being a yes man is expensive. It comes from like, 40% yes people to like a good 5 to 10% can be yes man. And it just goes down with age. Yeah, dude, me and Sean talked a lot about when I was in New York. there's splits in friend groups, not because of how much you like care about people or fuck with them, but people that make money and want to spend it. Because you can make money and be the biggest saver in the world. I'm sure we have friends like that too.
Right. Or you get caught spending a lot of money. We're both two single guys. If you have a girlfriend, that's
exactly.
an expensive thing.
You can't go to Vegas with the boys. That's for goddamn sure.
Right.
I've also, I've been in some pretty long relationships before. I'm very well aware that, like, you only have a certain fucking window. Not just like, socially speaking, but just doing shit. Like, whether it's a fucking golf trip, like, right. You can only do that shit for so long.
And we're doing it.
Fuck yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, I always find myself too when a new year starts. Like last year I did like a trip every month. I'm going to be traveling a lot for work, which is cool, but like I don't get to like do as much.
So. Yeah, me neither. And while we're on the topic, what are some other bucket list sporting events? Let's close it out like that.
I also think we've done this. I think we've done this. No, we did. If you were in a time machine, which sporting event could you go to? But now this is just bucket list. Okay.
Yeah. So
I think we might have also done this, but it's fine.
I think we hit on this after the early college basketball tournaments, and it was like, whoa, that Maui Invitational was fucking awesome.
Right.
I need to go there.
Yeah. So Super Bowl was probably number one, and that's happened, except they lost. So does it really count? Like, I want to see a Super Bowl win. That's number one. The Masters is arguably one. It could be over the Super Bowl. I don't think you'll really be able to answer that until you were in the beauty of Augusta National. Welcome, friends. Third is TGL.
Wow. Already?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
Okay. Pookie was there this week. It can't be that hard. TGL's dope. We could talk about that in a sec if you want. All right, there's two for me. Those were obvious ones. Give me more of a curveball.
Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, dude. Of course. The one I'm pissed that we haven't already done is Daytona 500. We were right there. We went to school like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, and we fucked that up.
There was also some fucking fraternities that would do an event there, and fuck Sean Andrews for not spending our money and doing that. That's a layup, dude.
Fuck Sean Andrews.
Dude, I wish like we could still just plan like beach trips and like Daytona 500 date function versus demo for tech with Bill from IT1.
We just gotta make it big, and then we can do whatever we want.
Dude, maybe we just do it now and then get big by doing whatever we want.
I'm down to get big.
Or go broke.
I feel like I've got a pretty solid plan for the year of 2025, and I've got.
I have no plan.
I've got some trips lined up for the first few months, and then June going to Canada to run a triathlon. July gonna take some time. September season starts to roll around. Grind it out. Get back into football. I'm okay with not traveling as much during football season.
Mm-hmm.
The summer's really my time to go fucking crazy.
Life. I was gonna say something and then I forgot what it was. Oh yeah. I don't know, man. I don't have much direction right now. Like everything's fine. I'm good. Nobody needs to call me. I'm just very well aware that I'm like a fucking wild card right now. Directional chaos, as I like to say.
I think that's okay though.
Totally okay. I do need to dial it in a little bit. Like I should check my bank account and stuff. Maybe check my mail and shit.
Wow, I should check my mail.
Yeah, dude. Like that's a part of it. We'll get better with time. We're not worried though. That's the big thing. I also think I'm gonna move. I think I'm actually gonna do New York City. I think there's a couple opportunities that are presenting itself. One that's very easy to do like now that would involve a commute for a bit. That's why I was there the past week to see if I would like doing it. I love Denver, but like I don't know. It's really starting to feel like a small town. that replicates in like how the fans are to the sports teams. Like it's, they're happy, but it's not die hard. But then you go to the Northeast to real cities or Chicago, and it's
It's life and
it
death.
replicates into sports. It's the biggest stage of any stage. I'm 24. I want to do it. I think there's definitely parts I'll hate. I've grown up in Colorado most of my life. Even when I went to Florida, dude, like eventually you're just like, damn, I miss that place. It's fucking awesome. And you realize that once you're gone. New York will be that times 10 because you're in a box surrounded by buildings with no sun. And
Yeah, but you do it now. If there's any
you
time
do it
to
now.
do it, it's now.
You do it now. Yeah, it'll. I think it'll be good for me in a lot of ways.
I think I'm following up on you a year later.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna want roommates too. I can't. I love living by myself, but I can't do it in New York City. I want to like save money so I can spend money. That's
Right.
like I have the option to really do both now. Denver's a little bit more affordable, not awesome, but you can't do that in New York. You can't have a nice 1-bedroom apartment, but then also go out every weekend. It's just not possible.
Yeah, you get your little shoebox and you find a roommate or two, and then you ball out because you're never in your place.
Sean's place is pretty cool. They have, it's not like crazy amount of space, but like it's segmented and they have everything you need. But it's in like the Lower East Side. I didn't realize like if you're in Manhattan, you could still like technically like be out of the way, and they're like out of the way. So
yeah, like they're in a nice area. It's just like
yeah. And they have a great spot, and it seems to be pretty affordable for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it, dude. I think we should do it. And then I want to move to like
I got one more year at DC, and then I'm ready for something new.
One more year starting now?
Starting in August.
It's a year and a half, Mike.
Well, my lease goes till August. What am I supposed to do?
Leave this August.
I'm not ready to leave this August.
Yeah, that's fair. I've been settled in Denver, I think probably like a year longer. So I think there's a cycle that goes with this.
3 years seems right. Go do the next thing. Yeah. I got to do another year of work to like establish myself as like the fucking man. It's like I've been doing recently. I actually in 4 days from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday put in over 50 hours of work in 4 days.
Dude, that's a lot.
But I was also in the same room as the president on 2 different days.
So yes, you were.
Yes,
you were.
There's perks.
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was a cool day.
It was cool.
Cool day.
I took a picture with Jorge Masvidal.
Ooh. Didn't expect you to say that name.
Yeah, he was at the Trump party on Inauguration Day. I was working the Liberty Ball, and he was just there, and I was like,
nice. The Liberty Ball.
Yeah,
cool
he was hammered. It was sick.
Yeah, cool things are going on in D.C. right now, including the Washington Commanders. I hope it all comes crashing down. All of it.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm riding Eagles -6. I think it's a blowout. And I'm taking the Bills. I'm just gonna be the Bills guy.
I'm gonna take the Bills too because fuck the Chiefs.
Yeah, I just don't want to do it. Here's the thing, though. I really think I could. I've gambled way too much with emotions this year. Like I bet on the teams that I want to win, and that's the worst way to bet. I've usually been really good about it. This year, it's been I don't know. I can't get past my own self. Anyways. I would much rather see the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl than the Bills. I would also much rather us lose to the Bills than the Chiefs, So it's
right.
But you got to assume they're going to win. You got to be diehard for your team. They're actually favorites to win the Super Bowl a lot because they have the easier matchup this week. So, yeah, I think I actually could bet the Chiefs and root for them somewhat. But I'm not going to, dude. I'm a story guy. I'm an emotion guy, and it would be awesome to see the Bills finally win this one.
Let's go Bills.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great weekend.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna suck not having football on Saturday.
Yeah, even tonight, sucks.
It's the worst.
I'm sweating a college basketball parlay right now. Marist
Nice.
is at Niagara, and they are currently up 61-60 with 2.5 minutes left in OT.
Oh, you have the money line.
I do have the money line on Marist.
Didn't someone in our group chat put Marist -4.5 today?
Yeah, that's why I took the money line. I didn't trust the -4.5, but I was like, I'll tail with you.
Shouldn't trust our friends in general, I think.
No, now the game is tied. All right, well, that's all I
Who had
had.
insight into fucking Marist Niagara? I want to know where that came from.
Yeah, it was Parker. I don't know where he got that from.
Parker. Denver native, of course.
Denver native, yeah.
Colorado, but same shit. All right. All right, man.
That's all I had. Go Bills. Go Commanders.
Go Birds.
I
Go Birds.
really
Go
hope
Birds.
the Eagles lose.
Go Birds. Jalen Carter, Saquon. I think AJ has a game. I think you see the most passing offense you've...
You're delusional, man. You're just making shit up now.
Jaden Daniels.
You're officially at like an 8 out of 10 confidence after this podcast.
See you, folks.
Peace.